Well, what is up, my fellow heathens, and welcome to another episode of the Southern Heathen Podcast. I am Praffin Tierson, and joining me, as always, is Ubba Umirison, and welcome to the fucking show. How you doing, man?
I always love that intro, man.
Yeah.
I'm doing pretty well. I'm really tired right now. I'm sore. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. You know, I was just sitting here thinking, if people were sitting here with us when we first start the podcast, it takes so long for us to get going because we have to sit there and laugh and laugh. And I don't know why. What do you think is going?
It feels like if Loki possessed both of us and just told us the dumbest jokes, but still made us laugh. That's just what it feels like, and you can't stop it. So when we start the episode, we just gotta. What'd you say earlier?
Rip it off like a Band-Aid.
Yeah, rip it off like a Band-Aid and just kind of go with it.
Yeah, stop being a pussy, But no, we made a post about some of the topics that's going to be on this podcast, and Facebook decided to translate the runic inscription into "I am bored" in English. So,
which makes no sense to me.
It makes absolutely no sense. I'm like, where did that come from? Facebook is fucked, man.
Yeah, I posted a picture or a few pictures about saying "wandering the dark woods," or it basically said "go into the dark woods and wander," and those woods are right on the property that we live on. And man, there was just something there. It was beautiful. Found a lot of cool spots, probably for a couple outdoor altars. And when I posted the picture, I'll get more into that in a second, but on the Facebook thing, when I posted the picture, I posted that same thing. What is it? Go into the woods and wander, or go into the dark woods and wander in runes in Younger Futhark. And Facebook just, decided to translate that. I mean, I'm not saying Write in Runic is the best app or, there is any good app for it. I just kind of threw it together in a post.
Right.
But so Facebook sucks. Never trust that.
Yeah, no, Facebook is probably terrible. I wouldn't be on Facebook if it weren't for marketing and family. So, I mean, Facebook would be done with. But yeah, that going down into the woods, we haven't done that yet, and so we did that today, and it was beautiful. And to be honest, the property kind of has a multiple different kind of terrains all on one. It's kind of swampy. It's kind of woodland area. It's kind of hilly because, as we've said before, we're in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains, and then there's flat spots with just open forest, and then groves, and it's completely beautiful. There's a power there that just you can feel in your bones, and it just sings to your soul, and you can just feel the land spirits, and it's just a beautiful experience down there.
Yeah, and what else is there? Oh, probably when it rains really hard, I'm assuming, where the riverbed is. There's no water in it right now. I mean, there's in some part, but that's you got to walk a little bit past. But for when you come right down the hill, there's no water in the riverbeds, but you can tell it's a riverbed where water does come through. And that place where we saw the tree roots coming out of the ground, so beautiful.
It was almost like stair steps.
Yeah,
leading up to something, but made out of the roots of the tree, and it was absolutely gorgeous. And I don't have words to actually describe the way I saw it, and that's how it felt to me. I can't describe it with justice. I can't give it any justice.
Yeah, when we went down there too, it's a gloomy day today. It's not cold at all, but it's not necessarily hot, and It rained a little bit this morning, but right now it's just windy. And then as soon as we went down there to go explore, you could see all the trees. And most of these trees are really tall, but they're not very thick. So they do swing, with the wind. And seeing all of them, swing at once was just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's just in unison, the swaying. It's almost like the trees were alive. And, of course, trees are obviously alive, but it was like they were sentient beings. And, from the druid background that I have, of course, many druids believe that trees are sentient beings. I'm not sure how much that I actually believe that. I know that they have life force in them. Obviously, the trees are the hair of Ymir. And, there's obviously some power and some life in the trees. And, of course, we were created from the trees, supposedly, by Odin.
What else was there? Oh, one of the places that we were going to possibly set up an altar because there was a couple places where we are going to set up 2 or 3 altars. One of them, there was a few, you could look like they were burned trees, some of them, but they had a lot of mushrooms growing out of them. I mean, a lot. And if anyone goes on the post, you'll be able to see on the pictures what I took. And there's a thorn bush right next to it. And for, thorns, if, Terdes has the rune of Thor or also the rune of the giants, that to me, it spoke right to me real quick. Like, if I do plan to set up an altar here, this is going to be to the giants. I'm not sure who, really, but I just know it's going to be for them. But on the other hand, there was that spot where we saw, remember you thought it was green onion?
Yeah.
Because there was, out of all, there's a lot of dead plants and a lot of dead grass right now because it's not quite springtime yet. There's a lot of dead grass and a lot of dead trees, little ones too. But in the midst of all this, right, in a tree that's split in two, right in front of it, there's like a little patch of like green grass, and it's perfect. And it's like almost a foot tall, and in diameter maybe a foot in diameter, and it's just a little patch there right by itself, and that kind of spoke to me, like, hey, I gotta set this something right here.
It was a stunning green as well. Like, you can't really imagine in our words the way we describe it to you, but when we were looking at it, like he said, everything around it's dead except that one spot, and it's just lush green just popping up out of the ground right where the tree splits. And it'd be a perfect place to set up a small altar to whomever we would decide to dedicate it to.
Yeah, I don't know who yet. I guess that can also lead me into the second topic, patron deities, patron gods or goddesses. What got me the idea today to wander, I mean, we'd already planned on wandering across the property because we hadn't really had time. But today, after I got done at the gym, he was at work, and I was like, yeah, you know what, I want to go wander somewhere. I haven't been everywhere, in this place yet, and I really want to just go do something. I looked for some parks, but one of the parks was just located, right in the middle of town. The one with the train cart on it, right. Which I've already seen, and it's awesome. It's a piece of history, But I wanted to go somewhere in the woods, just somewhere. And then I thought, oh, well, when I got home, well, shit, I'm gonna go to the backyard because we haven't even gone in there yet, and I just kind of dawned on me, was getting this eagerness to wander from Odin,
right?
Especially ever since I moved here, it's just been that he's been by my side.
Yeah, and there are some walking trails that I would recommend. You saw some pictures before you moved here of the ones that I use. It's out in Farmington. Beautiful place. It's hilly. It's got a lot of trees, a lot of open field-like kind of things, and I think you'd love it.
Yeah. Oh, and I definitely want to. As my patron god Odin has guided me to just wander and go into things, go into unexpected things. I guess that's the best way to put it, because you'll always be surprised. Whatever it is, good or bad, you're always going to be surprised, but you're going to learn something from that. And ever since I came here, because people's patrons, change throughout the years. Sometimes mine definitely have, but Odin's definitely my patron, and I couldn't imagine.
Yeah. And and some listeners might be a little confused because in one of the previous episodes you mentioned that you really didn't have a patron, and I think some things are falling together for you right now. And,
yes.
So how long has he been calling to you?
He's been calling to me for about a year now. Especially when I made the decision to move out here, he was the god that gave me the go ahead. I mean, I was gonna come anyways. It doesn't really matter, a god or not, or a human or not. I still planned on coming here, but I got a message from him, very powerful, deep one too. I'd never experienced anything from him before, like ever. I've known of him. I've felt his energy sometimes, but I've never actually had him there with me until one night back in Washington. And that was the go ahead right there, was just to go and not worry about what, don't worry about what you're leaving behind, this, that, and the third. Just go and wander. Ever since then, it's a journey every single day because, when I go to work, I'm going to places I've never been to before. Yeah, I've been to Memphis and Nashville now because we live right on the border of Tennessee. But I go to different places all the time for my job. So that's the part of the wandering where I just take every new experience as just a wandering part, because I am going to places I've never been, even if they are in the middle of the city, whatever. It's still somewhere I haven't been.
Right. And I know some of our listeners are probably familiar with Odin, but there's possibility that we have new heathens or people that are interested in heathenry that don't really know Odin or know how he is. So how would you describe what it's like to work with Odin?
One of my brothers, and my Gothi, they put it this way, especially when you dedicate yourself to him, which we'll talk about that in another episode. But it's like he'll throw you out in the middle of the ocean, and he'll get you to swim. But the thing is, you're gonna have to swim back on your own, even during high tide. And if you start to drown, he'll pick you up again and then throw you back out in the water until you get it. That's kind of what it's like working with him. But it's very rewarding, and what helps even during like harsh lessons is just don't have expectations. Just go through it, go through the experience,
Right.
And it's been awesome.
Yeah, he and my grandfather must have been friends. That's how he teaches you how to swim. But yeah, man. So is it rewarding working with him, or is it?
It definitely is. And the funny thing is too, because like we were saying last time, how I didn't have a patron up until this point. It was when Thor introduced me into Norse paganism, and then later on down the road, I went on the path of the giants to learn from them. And people probably are going to shake their heads, when they hear that. But to be honest, especially now because I've come back, or I've not come back, but I've come to Odin, or he's come to me. In the stories, guys, especially if you read them, was it not Odin who went down that path, seeking wisdom from the giants, sacrificing to them?
Right.
I'm not saying I am Odin, because I'm not, but I just found a very big draw to him, especially when he came to me after I've gone down that path. I'm not so much on that anymore. It's more of just working with Odin, for sure.
Yeah, that brings up an interesting topic that we actually hadn't planned on, but I'm going to discuss it anyway. And we've discussed it in previous episodes. There's a lot of heathens out there that are unwilling to accept intermingling with different people, if you get what I'm saying. So, like you said, Odin worked with the Jotun and worked, and of course, like Freya and Freyr, they're Vanir gods, and they're accepted as amongst the Aesir. So is Tyr, which is my patron. And
so tell us a little bit about that too.
We had a very interesting conversation about him last night, actually. Working with Tyr is beyond rewarding, but it has its downfalls because he is an extremely disciplined god to work with, and he's not horribly strict on you, but he does expect you to pick yourself up and keep going no matter what happens. He's not going to not help you, but he's going to make sure that you have the skills and the tools to help yourself when he's not around, because he's not obviously going to be all around all the time. He's not omnipotent, he's not omniscient. It's not how our gods are. So he's not going to always be there. So he's trying to mold whoever works with him into a better, more disciplined person. So working with him he's a god of justice and a god of war. And like we said, like I was telling you last night, he's not just like a bloodthirsty god of war. He doesn't just seek out war for the sake of war. Being a god of justice, he seeks out war as it pertains to justice. When something unjust is happening, that's when you decide to take up arms. And that's really how his personality and how his character is molded. It's not, I'm going to just go to war. It's like, I'm going to go to war because this is the right thing to do. And that's how my character has always been molded as well.
Yeah. Is there any experiences you might have had with him? That can... I guess not just any experience, because we have a lot of experiences with our deities or gods, personal ones. But what's one that you can say that stands out more than most?
It's hard to say. Whether it was a dream, or a vision, or But he came to me in a time when I was doubting myself, and I was surrounded in this dream by shadow beings, really tall shadow beings. And all I had was my staff and my gun, and I tried to fight them off with my gun, and it wasn't working. And I could hear someone walking up behind me, and I turn around, and there's this extremely tall, long red hair, long red beard man with one hand, and he's got this beautiful armor, and he's carrying a sword in his hilt, and he's also carrying a sword in his hand, and he throws the sword at me, and when I look at it, it's got the Tiwaz rune engraved in the blade, and he said, "Those weapons aren't going to hurt them." He said, "You need to fight." And so we fought them together, and we vanquished my enemies together. Ever since that day, that night rather, I've felt a lot closer to him, almost like a paternal bond. And I don't know if anybody's really had those kind of experiences with him before. I know experiences with him are sometimes rare, but that was a very strong feeling and strong experience.
Yeah, no, that's good to know. I feel like a lot of people, they may have experiences in dreams, because like you said it was a dream or a vision, because some people might take that as literal. To I'm not saying that couldn't be literal, right now in our physical reality, but obviously you said that was a dream or a vision, so just so people don't get that out of whack,
right?
And I'm pretty sure a lot of people have dreams like that too. Maybe they just might not have said it, but yeah, I've had many dreams of different deities doing stuff against shadow beings too, and maybe you guys have as well. Maybe we could run a questionnaire or something and see if anyone else has.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely have the option to run questionnaires and polls on our podcast. So.
Yeah, and about so you were saying runes inscribed on, you said, on the sword.
Yeah, it was just the Tiwaz.
So speaking of that, and this actually just kind of dawned on us last second before we started the episode, was I just got a tattoo yesterday. It's in Younger Futhark, and it's the stanza from the Eddas about Ragnarok. It starts out with the sun will turn black, the earth will sink into the sea, so on and so forth. I'm not going to rehearse the whole thing, but right. I have that in Younger Futhark on my shin, and to me, I'm not sure how many people actually believe Ragnarok's a real thing. I'm not so sure, and it could have been Snorri. That could have been a Christian twist on it. I don't know. But regardless, I will take it as a spiritual sign, though, of rebirth within oneself.
Right.
As well as Odin hanging himself with the spear to the chest.
Right. Well, here's my personal theory about Ragnarok as it pertains to our religion itself. Not to say that Ragnarok was some huge warlike event between the gods and the Jotun and the Thurs and all that. What I'm saying is that our Ragnarok was technically the Christianization of our people and the loss of our way of life, and we can see it resurging now. But there was a time when the Christian church were forcing conversions and pushing their religion on people that just wanted to be left alone, really. And so you kind of saw our religion die. So that's technically like a death of the gods, at least in a metaphorical sense. Because I don't believe the gods can actually die. They're gods. That's what I believe Ragnarok really was for at least our generation. Because Ragnarok, some people believe to be cyclical, and if it's something like that, then it very well could be.
Yeah, and I've heard a bunch of people say the same thing that you did about it being more of how Christianity kind of dominated Europe and Abrahamic religions in general.
And we're seeing it fall away little by little.
Thankfully, yes.
And, it's very beautiful to see people returning to it's a natural state, because, like I said in a previous episode, it's very unnatural to believe in an omnipotent, omniscient, all-powerful. Our gods represent the cosmos and represent nature and, how nature works. For the lack of a better term, Christianity's God is an unnatural kind of thing. It doesn't make any sense, to me at least.
Yeah, I agree with that. And, I guess you can say, to touch further into another topic, about tattoos, runes, and Christianity is heathenry in the Bible Belt, because we do live in the Bible Belt, and obviously I'm new here in coming from Washington State, but so far, especially here in the Bible Belt, obviously we see churches like every half mile. There's some there's
a church everywhere. Like when they say a church on every street corner, they're not kidding.
Yeah, I mean when I'm driving up to the house or driving away, whatever it is, there's like one crossing, no pun intended. There's a crossing, and I either stop on one side or you yield on the other, and there's a church like right on the corner with a cemetery, and yeah, I have to drive by that every morning, and it's but. Going further though, yes, there's like a church everywhere. I haven't really gotten as many judgmental looks. I do get looks because like I have not just heathen tattoos, but like I have tattoos on my hands and my fingers, and I have a forearm sleeve. My other forearm has a few on it, and so I mean I'm gonna get looks, and I understand. I just kind of deal with that. I don't really care. I'm not offended or anything. People are probably gonna be curious,
right? And most of that comes from a lot of the older generation now. Than it does anyone else. As far as being a heathen in the Bible Belt, it's a hit or miss. It depends on who you talk to. Like when you were talking to your tattoo artist yesterday, I'm not saying that she's a Christian. I have no idea, but she was really, really curious about everything, and she was really respectful. Mm-hmm. And you get that a lot when people are asking you questions about who you are and what you believe around here, at least in this particular area. I have no idea what it's like in Alabama or Georgia or even further south in Mississippi. But as far as the experience here, it's not that terrible. It's just we don't have a lot of us here, and that can sometimes feel isolated or secluded. And because a lot of the, like you were talking about earlier, a lot of our tradition as Norse pagans is community, and that's hard to get in this area.
Yeah, and that's one thing I do miss. I haven't been to a bloat in a while. I mean, I've done bloats here with just us, but like a bloat, a real gathering with the folk. That's what they would say. That is something I do miss, and I hope to get back to soon. Just gotta find other heathens or Norse pagans in general. Yeah, so far here though, I've gotten some curiosity. I remember going up to Nashville last Monday, and there was a couple people asking me about my name, and not just what it meant, where does it come from, and was that your original name? And they were really shocked when I said no, I changed my original name. I'm not going to say what it was, but it was a biblical name that I used to have, and I changed my my first, middle, and last name, and I have not regretted that. I'm not saying people should go out and do it. You can do whatever you want. It's not my business.
Right.
I did it for my own personal choice. But yeah, going on forward though, that was the one experience where I had people kind of look at me weird, but they didn't really say anything about that, because obviously my name is related to Norse paganism in some sort of way. It's Nordic in origin, obviously.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a unique name for this area.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think I know any Ymirsons.
Yeah, just like everybody at work, they're like, "How do you say that? What is that name? Where are you from? I was asked today, what is your ethnicity? Can you see me? I mean,
that's funny.
Yeah, it is a very interesting experience around here. The southern, and there is such thing as southern hospitality. They will be completely polite to your face, but if you ever hear the "bless your heart," that is an insult around here. But they're still going to serve you those biscuits. So regardless. So yeah, man. I mean,
I can't get enough of those biscuits, man. I need to stop.
Yes, you do. And never go to Crystal's ever again.
Oh no, never. Ridiculous, man. But yeah, so also too, I figured I'd give some book recommendations especially from those couple topics from earlier. So about my tattoo with the runes being on them in Younger Futhark. One book about the runes that I personally loved and I thought was very informational. There's some things in there I do disagree with for sure, but obviously that's going to be any book you'll probably ever read. It's called Nightside of the Runes by Thomas Carlson. He goes into He goes into a whole explanation of Futhark and Uthark. Uthark is another way that he believes, and that some other people believe it actually does go. Instead of Fehu being the first rune in the Elder Futhark, it would actually be Uruz. Or Uruz. I don't know how you guys would say it. I just say it like that. Right. But that's a great book for runes. And then for another book in relation to a god, or gods in general, Pagan Portals. And specifically, the one I have is Odin. Pagan Portals, Odin Meeting the Norse Allfather by Morgan Daimler. I think that's how you say her name. She's an excellent author. And I learned a lot from that book, especially about Odin. There's one about Thor, there's one about Loki, and she also, pretty sure she covers a lot of Irish lore too, and a lot of Celtic gods and goddesses. So yeah, be sure to check them out.
Oh yeah, and of course, we have book recommendations that you can purchase off of links that we provide on our homepage on our website. You can get to our website at the Southern Heathen without the S. It's the southernheathen.wixsite.com/the-southern-heathen. And you can also follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/the-southern-heathens and on Instagram at the Southern Heathens. So, anything else you want to add?
One more book for beginners out there. I forgot, I should have said this on one of the few episodes about the new pagans. Is one great book for beginners. That was the first book I read when I became Norse pagan, and that was Essential Asatru by Diana Paxson. I wouldn't necessarily consider myself just straight Asatru, but it is a great book for beginners. It explains a lot. She goes into very much detail, but also keeps it simple at the same time.
Right. I think we have that linked on our site.
Yeah, it is linked on there. Okay. So, great book. Highly recommend it.
Yeah. And again, if you want to find us, you can actually get to our website if it makes it easier for you. You can get to our website from our Facebook. That's facebook.com/the-southern-heathens. And if you like the content, go ahead and give us a like and a follow. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast, and we're going to start a YouTube channel soon where you'll actually be able to see us make our podcasts, and we're going to be coming out with a merch store really, really soon. So if you like all that and you like talking about heathenry and you like listening about heathenry, join us on our next episode, and we will see you next time.